Hey, cozy cuties! Today, you guys are going to be getting a peek into the chaos of my creative entrepreneur life. I'm planning 90 days of content, and you guys will see all the behind the scenes of how I manage my dealing with my cluttered environment and distractions. Because let's be real, I live with my family of four in a small cluttered apartment. So the cozy aesthetic is like more aspirational than reality. Still, I remind myself that this situation's only temporary. I'm here for a reason, and I'm honestly making the most of this chapter. Okay, so I was supposed to do this yesterday. I usually schedule content planning on Mondays, but ADHD said no. Today we obsess over your aesthetic instead. I cannot tell you how many times I've rebranded my channel in the last 4.5 months. I'm going to be honest. That's my perfectionism talking, always whispering that something needs to be fixed. It kept me obsessing over thumbnail fonts and what fit like the ideal cozy aesthetic. On one hand, yay, self-improvement, which, is not wrong. On the other hand, I wasted a whole day tweaking fonts. We're building to that, of course. My brain was like super hyper focused on it so much that it completely derailed my entire day. And let's not even get into how my environment doesn't really match the aesthetic, and so that I tend to envision it, and so that actually makes it a lot harder for my brain to grasp and understand. And so I'm learning to work with what I've got, and eventually I did actually find, I would say, my quote unquote cozy font. But like it only happened after I was done journaling, and that made me realize whenever my brain starts to like overthink something and hyper focus on it, I just gotta journal it out, because chances are my thoughts are probably spiraling at that moment, and I'm probably focusing or hyper focusing on something else. There's always something at the root cause of me trying to like perfect something. So as you guys can see, I'm planning right now the 90-day short form challenge, and so right now we're just doing some title brainstorms for like how we want the title to be. And I kind of just, what I usually do is I go to ChatGPT and then I like type in everything that I want for the content, type out my vibe, my personality, and everything, and give it everything, all the information, in order for me to actually generate like really good ideas. And so there's one that stood out to me, and that was the whole concept of not waking up at 5 a.m. and in order to feel productive. And so that's actually one that stood out to me, because I'm someone who's no longer glorifying the idea of waking up super early, because that will equate to productivity, and the reality is that's not the case, at least not for me anyway. And so that's what I want to like focus on, making a video of how I'm actually breaking that norm that we have to get up at 5 a.m. in order to be productive, because that I can tell you that's definitely not true. I want to create like a short form video on that. Right now I'm just brainstorming any bullet points, things that I can like talk about for that title specifically, so, or for that topic, and then from there to just generate a few title ideas. And then after I generate a few title ideas, I give it to ChatGPT again, and I give it a few prompts in order to like narrow it down to what it is that I actually want. But I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse the rest of me working. I'll see you guys in a bit. I decided to get distracted on my iPad because I was bouncing a creative idea in my head, and sometimes when I feel a creative concept coming through, I go on Pinterest to find creative inspiration. Having ADHD can make it so you completely derail what you were originally doing because you start hyperfocusing on the new thing that you took a side quest for. I'm learning to pace myself and also work with my energy, and if some distractions or side quests do come up, depending on what they are, I'm learning to keep a notebook next to me so I can write it down and just come back to it later versus needing to tend to it at the moment and completely derailing my day. I always come back to journaling. It helps me reset, reflect, and get out of my mental clutter. Even if the day wasn't perfect, I showed up, and that's what counts. Alright, you guys, I managed to plan 2 weeks of content, which honestly just feels so amazing. Is it the full 90 days that I was hoping for? No, but this gets the weight off my shoulders, and this time I'm planning with intention, so I'm not rushing, which I do love because I refuse to let ADHD and the cluttered apartment or just perfectionism keep me from building my dream life. This is the reality of dealing with ADHD and not having the most supportive environments to assist you, but we make it work, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And so if this actually helped you, let me know in the comments. Even if it helps at least one of you feel less alone, like, I'm happy. So drop your video ideas or just share how you manage productivity in a chaotic environment. And I love you, cozy cuties. Thank you all for being here today, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.